Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the One Bitcoin Show. Today is July the 17th, 2024. Strong hand, long-term thinking. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin, and Bitcoin always returns to its all-time high. Golden age. This is where the big boys play. I'm offended by selling. Best cast in the freaking space. Check out the last show I did, people. We had some great guests on. Hello, my elite friends. Thanks to Henry Law, Isabella Draven, Nomi Gnome, John Martin, John Martin 116. And so many others. We only need $10. $10. If you donate $10, I'll do another show pretty darn soon. Yeah, I think if you have like 16 Bitcoin, you're a millionaire. Now, I don't know how many it is. Okay, so we're going to talk. And yeah, I'm wearing an Orioles shirt only because the second half of the season's starting, but I'm taking off the Orioles shirt to show you a shirt that's, this shirt was obviously. You can get this shirt linked to below, FOMO21. It's linked to below. It's like an Orioles shirt now, isn't it? Pound that like button, people. So you've been hearing about Trump and Vance and Biden and all that. And now it's time for me to tie it all together. And I've been meaning to do this show for a while. I mean, I have written down here, Happy Canada Day. Didn't do that one on July 1st, did I? And then it says Happy 4th of July. I didn't do one then either. I've been loving life out there, been running all the darn time, been having a good time, and I've been keeping up with everything. And now, you've been waiting for my take on this thing. Okay, so Trump, attempted assassination, all you wackos wasting a lot of time saying conspiracy this, conspiracy that. We're in a post-competency world here, okay? The Secret Service is incompetent. And that's not a conspiracy. They're just incompetent. You have 5'4" women guarding, a former president who's like 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", whatever he claims to be. Affirmative action hires here, there, and everywhere. And in this case, the affirmative action were the women being hired. I mean, it's nonsense. 5'4" women guarding. If you can see that problem, you got to wonder about the other problems that are going on here. But we're living in a post-competency world where a lot of people, that's just normality. It's not about your true qualifications. If you're actually skilled at the potential job, no, it's just if you're from this segment of the population, and thus, we can tie this into Biden too. Since so many people are just used to, having bosses that are completely incompetent, themselves being completely incompetent, not understanding what work is at all. They see Biden clearly senile, giving speeches that make no sense any longer, and they just make up excuses. They think this is normal because it's a post-competency world for the 80%ers. So I just want you to all keep that terminology. I've used this before, but it explains a lot in the world because a lot of people are like, well, how could anybody vote for Biden? Well, first of all, it's a very tribal type of thing. But the bigger question is, how can anybody not see that the man is senile? I mean, it's been obvious for so long, and I've been saying, here, but I mean, it's humiliation at this point. It's complete humiliation for an old man. Anytime he's interviewed, the debate, the so-called debate, it's absolutely pathetic. But there are people out there that literally think he's fine. No, that's normal. That's how my boss says. Yeah, it's normal. And some of it is lies, obviously, people making up excuses. But seriously, post-competency world. So Trump, so don't waste your time on conspiracies and this country did this and that, the other. They're crazy people. Unlucky for Trump, and thank Hashem, thank the Lord that he was not killed. Because now people, it's not a joking matter because 2 people were killed, correct? Or one, whatever. It was terrible what happened. An innocent man died. Completely outrageous. And that's the Secret Service's fault. That woman who in charge of the Secret Service should resign immediately. But again, it's a post-competency world. She's, she's not accountable to anyone. She'll stretch it out as, it's horrible. And it's again, mostly in the private, public sector. But the private sector has been forced into this woke world also, where you have to hire a certain amount of the victims, and their companies don't run as well now. Some of them are getting over it. And I think, and this is a prime example. I think a lot of people with brains are like, I can't play this game anymore. I can't risk people's lives for the sake of diversity, hiring unqualified people. I mean, this is it. I mean, at least we'll learn that, but it's absolutely horrendous that a man died and another was seriously injured. And again, so people were saying, first people were saying they were fake bullets. No, they weren't fake. It wasn't fake. He got real lucky. He moved his head. And you can say, whatever entity made him do that, he got real lucky. And had he hadn't moved his head would have exploded on national TV. And you think people would have been calm then? I mean, no. I mean, and then the conspiracies would have really been going crazy, and the temperature would have been taken up to an unprecedented level. So, I mean, I just thank God. But it was bad luck that there was a crazy kid in a town who wanted attention, I guess, and unlucky for the everyone involved on the political side. They ended up in his town, and he decided to go out like that. I guess I don't know. I don't know everything that's going to be found. But, you don't worry about it, okay? Don't worry. It could have been so much worse. So I hope that Trump has a new take on life. It was a true near-death experience. Supposedly he wants unity now. Unity is not always the best thing in the world. But to be elected president, if he really portrays that instead of, some of the more divisive things he said before, he could just, ride to the presidency again. If he just, acts sort of nice and he can, maybe he found God all of a sudden, and he can lie and say he found God too. I mean, and people will believe him because there's plenty of people out there on a certain segment of it are saying, God saved him, blah, 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 choose your God that saved him, etc. And he could say that and people will believe him and he could be sincere about it or whatever. And then he could say, I'm not going to say anything bad about Biden. Let's get together. Let's unify. Let's get by. I'm going to, the poor people are going to do better under me. There's going to be less regulation, blah, 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 blah. I'm so happy to be alive. I'm a positive person now. And, I said some bad things in the past. I'm a changed man. And he could flow with that. Now, what's it all mean for Bitcoin? The markets started going up. I mean, there are a number of reasons that the market started. I mean, we're closer to the Ethereum ETF becoming a reality now. But I think there were I mean, you cannot deny it at this point. You could see the people that are throwing their money behind Trump. These are all rich, successful men, and they're not ashamed of it anymore to support him. They understand that, and both are Biden is a statist. Trump is a statist. They believe in fascist economic these are fascist. When you pick winners and losers, Biden just picks winners and losers more often and gets involved more often, has more regulation. But the big money out there, the Silicon Valley people, David Sachs, Chamath, the All In podcast, which I recommend highly, highly, highly. I know a lot of people don't like Chamath because him and the Surfer Jim got into something. So Chamath is a genius. He's a smart man. Also, Chamath did not fully understand the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin yet he's invested millions at different times in the Bitcoin. That just shows you something. If you know more than a genius does about Bitcoin, you're in good shape and you should be rich. But and he is a very smart man. They're not right about everything over there, but it's a good podcast to get you thinking. And you can see how some of the guys have changed their mind over there. And by the way, David Sachs is not right on a lot of things. He's wrong on Israel. He's too crazy about the Ukraine thing. I mean, he's a little too pro-Russia. But David Sachs is a smart guy when it comes to economics and politics. He understands what's going on. Like, we can't if we want progress to come faster to this nation, innovation to come faster, and we are the most innovative nation in the history of mankind. And Silicon Valley, it brings it, and cryptocurrency and AI are the future. These are the huge things, and we can't have Lena Khan and Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, what's her name from Massachusetts, putting their fingers in everything. They know nothing about this stuff. Nothing. Chamath, David Sachs, they know about this stuff. And they're going to have this. Trump listens to these guys, okay? So does RFK. He listens to these guys. So vote for RFK, vote for Trump, whatever, okay? But the market sees that there's a pretty good chance that Trump's going to win. I mean, if it looks like he can win Minnesota, if Trump wins Minnesota, he's going to be the president of the United States. Just to put it in perspective here, it's like impossible for Trump. If he wins Minnesota, he's going to win. He's going to destroy Biden in the electoral college. But I mean, that's not guaranteed yet either, because we still have these maniacs. Most of the country lives in a post-competency world where they still think, oh, well, he's like my grandpa, Joe Biden, and I like my grandpa, so I'll vote for Joe Biden. Or my boss is senile too, or I don't know what senile is anymore. It's all subjective. There's no really true senile. You can go down an insane rabbit. Don't be one of those people that gets lost in this, because you're a total loser. You live off of welfare. Seriously, I mean, I don't know anybody. There are certain, there's certain people that are very wealthy that are supporting Biden because he still supports. But even they want to win. They're supporting Kamala now and everything like that. And I'm going to get, if you really believe in the rule of law, okay? If you really believe in that, and this is a true test for someone like the woman she's not really from Wyoming, she's from Texas, Liz Cheney, who is so staunch in her belief for the rule of law that Trump is horrible, this, that, and the other. Well, if she believes in the rule of law, and she saw the debate, and she saw all that stuff, she knows Biden is senile. This is the rule. Kamala Harris should invoke the 25th Amendment immediately. And I know a lot of you are going to say, well, if that happens, she'll become the president. Kamala Harris will become president right now, in a few weeks. If she invokes the 25th and the whole process goes through, and the Senate and the Congress vote, and it's a long process. It has never been done before. But he's senile. If he can't, he shouldn't be president, guys. We all know this. And there's all these partisan people out there. They're like, that are Republicans. They're let him just run against, because he's the best one. Trump has the best case against it. Logically, Trump should beat a senile man easier than he beats Kamala. If we lived in a semi-serious world, and again, we live in a post-competency world, so I don't know. But guys, if you really believe in the rule of law and everything like that, and you really believe he's senile, and he is, there's no reason. And I don't think the government, I do my thing. The government doesn't control me. But in the end of the day, the federal government does protect the United States of America from a nuclear attack. And that is one of the big things that is so important to me about union with the United States of America. I love that all 50 states can do their own thing. I do not believe in secession at all, because we are the most powerful country on earth, united under the nuclear umbrella, the technological umbrella, and I believe in nullification, that if ever there comes to be some horribly unconstitutional rule, and the best, and I'll get to this later, that, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota, the big six that I believe in very strongly, and maybe Alaska, but those ones all touch each other, can nullify laws and just be like, no, we're not listening to the federal government. That is a lot different than seceding and forming your own country. It's a lot different. But again, going back to the one thing that the federal government that I do believe it should do is, protect the people from outsider attack. And he can no longer do that. He's just not there. It's just like, you might as well let a little kid be in charge of the. I mean, he's got, who knows who's in charge? There's no accountability. We can't say if it's really. So if Kamala became president, then we could blame it all on her. If stuff started going, but she is of sound mind, okay? You might not like her. She's an idiot. Obviously, she's stupid. She could be bought. And then the Bitcoin people will have to bribe her or whatever, if need be, if she were to beat Trump. But yeah, again, so this is I want everyone to take a step back and get out of the tribal stuff and just think of this, what's going on. If you really believe he's senile, you shouldn't care about who wins the next. The first thing that should be taken care of is who should be president now. Not who should be president in January, who should be president now. And it's Kamala Harris should be the president now. There's no doubt about it. She should be the president this second. He should immediately be gone. He's senile. His wife is walking him around. His wife is probably in charge of his drug addict son. We don't know. This is a serious matter. There are many wars going on right now. There's nuclear weapons, okay? It's insane. So, but the clearly, when Trump survived, and people start figuring out, well, this is good. He looks like a strong leader and everything. The financial markets all start doing better because rich people who know the money, know that, if Trump becomes president, this is going to be good for Bitcoin. You all know it. There'll eventually be a rate cut. We're going to talk about that also. I want you guys to check out the last show that I posted here. It was Matt Moore's show, and he introduced me to a guy named Rick Jackson. And we'll talk about them a little later, but that show's linked to below. You you should at least check out the link I have linked to below to Rick's tweet about $88,000 Bitcoin, and we'll get to that in a second. So yes, Trump survived. That should be good for Bitcoin if he becomes president again. It will be. It will. Biden is the worst, of the current people out there. Well, actually, including if you do Biden, Kamala, RFK, and Trump, Biden is the worst, because Kamala we don't exactly know, and we know that she'll do anything for power. And you know how she got into power, what she had to do to Willie Brown. I mean, can you imagine doing that to Willie Brown, the former mayor of being his? I mean, I can't say the words. I can't give graphic descriptions of obviously what was done. All the feminists out there, I kind of feel bad. The first woman president, the way she became president is that she had to please men. I mean, I can't say the words, but that's how and she should be the president now. So I mean, that's just anyway. I don't know. There's nothing, but she could be both. She's from California originally, so she might have some Silicon Valley connection still that would all of a sudden be like, be nice to these guys or something. Again, I don't like those fascist type of policies where they're going to favor the Bitcoin. I think they should get rid of all regulations. Again, Trump will do a much better job of getting regulations than she will, but she's a little bit better than Biden because she could be purchased. But the point is Trump is a lot better. And so Trump is good for the entire economy. Again, he picks winners and losers. Vance is a complete he's a leftist in terms of his term, trying to help, he's trying to help people in the Midwest by favoring them. That's not, I feel bad to what's happened to people out there because industry has left, but people have to move on. People can move. They don't have to live and industry isn't coming back here. Why would you want to work in hardcore industry anymore? Anyway, you might want to strengthen your muscles or whatever, but just let some, guy in Vietnam do it or Thailand or, some place even worse, Bangladesh, Egypt, let them make things. And we are produced. If you get rid of regulation in Silicon Valley and everywhere, and let us experiment in the biotech world too, all of a sudden there'll be all these jobs that people without, lots of skills can work at. They can work in the offices of Bitcoin companies and of AI companies and of biotech companies. This is the strength of the United States of America here. Let it rip. And I don't think Trump is going to let it rip. But also, Vance is not going to be in charge of anything either. But he could easily, he'd be next in line to be president. Trump isn't a very healthy man, and Trump can't run again. For all the people that say, Trump will never give up the presidency, I think it's pretty obvious now. But the guy, the person he appointed, that might be the vice president. Clearly, that's a signal that he'll go peacefully in. That you ever thought he wouldn't in 2029. He won't hold on for a third term or anything like craziness like that all the wackos with the derangement syndrome say. Oh, God almighty. All right. So we've talked about the assassination attempt in terms of Bitcoin and everything. It is sickening. I just have to say, for the people that are like, oh, it's too bad it missed. They don't understand what that would have brought on. I don't know what that would have brought on. It's really unprecedented. There would have been tweet after tweet after tweet. You would have seen his head exploding. Do you think people would have been calm after that? It's grotesque. It would have been absolutely grotesque. And the conspiracies would have gone in. The conspiracies are going pretty wild right now. Total waste of your time, people, to get into that. Anyway, let me see if there are any. If you guys got questions, I got answers. Do super chat. Again, we only need $10 for your next show. Hello, Johnny Midas. Hello, everybody. You can get this shirt linked to below. Again, hello, my friends. It is great to see everybody here. And again, check out my show. When did I post the Matt Moore show? I think I posted it yesterday. So it's great. Just go to the disruptmeister.com. And again, Twitter. I'm tweeting there all the time. For all the people who are like, where have you been? No, I've been on Twitter every single day. Read Twitter, people. You really learn a lot about Bitcoin and the whole entire ecosystem. And, don't get caught up in the politics. And I got to admit, after, the assassination thing, I never thought I would see anything like that. My father, my mother, my grandma used to tell me about, what they were doing on the day that JFK got shot. And I've been to Dallas, I've been to the grassy knoll and everything. And it was so far away. And I know Reagan there was an attempt on that. But so most people have no familiarity with this type of thing. And so I never thought it was very surreal. So I did waste some time on it. I will admit, I was fascinated at first. It just seemed so, it's just still a little strange. And, okay, so let's move on to the next subject. So, Trump shooting, Biden should resign. I explained that. Okay, $88,000 Bitcoin pump theory here by Rick Jackson, who is an up and coming guy. I predicted in 2017 that Nick Carter would become big, and he did. Unbelievable that he predicted that. And he's become a wealthy young man, hasn't he? Since then. So have I. I'm not as young as him, but he's a very smart guy. He's smarter than I. But he cares a lot more about online clout than I do. Oh my God! Anyway, that's a weakness of his. But Rick Jackson is, and that is Rick's last name. Yeah, that's his last name. Matt Moore. I know I was going to be on Matt's show. I know that Rick was also going to be on. Rick helps him host the show. Rick and Matt are both based in the great state of Oklahoma, and it is a great state, but I'm a little worried about it. Only a little. It's a great one to live in. Oklahoma City's a great. Tulsa, the hospitality of the people in Tulsa, like Matt Moore, is unbelievable. Those are nice places to live. I think, especially if you're a religious Christian, I think Tulsa is very good, apparently. And by the way, we'll talk about Christianity and Mormons real soon. I know you guys will love that. I'm Jewish, obviously. Everyone knows that. But so I'm going to give you my little take on some Christian sects in a second. But so I met Rick, and Rick is a really smart guy. And he's actually working on helping Bitcoin in the government in the Oklahoma. So Oklahoma is a great state for Bitcoiners, okay? And they're going to have some good policy. And they're very competitive. I was at 2022 when the first time I got to meet Matt in person in Oklahoma City at the Bitcoin Day event, which might have been, that was a great Bitcoin Day event. Sioux Falls was also very good. But I got the impression, Oklahoma and Texas are very competitive with each other. And we hear about Texas being such a great Bitcoin state. Oklahoma is competing with Texas. It's awesome. It's really awesome. It's awesome to have that great type of competition. But I did not, Matt's a great identifier of talent also, because Rick it was impressing me throughout the interview. They were interviewing me, and we were talking about the whole 4-year cycle. And I just keep saying how ridiculous it is that people keep on trying to deviate from it in major ways and say, no, we already reached the top. And every time, we reached the all-time high earlier this time. It should have happened in December, but that doesn't mean that what's going on now sucks. What's going on right now is normal. We slowly get back up to the previous all-time high, which was 69,000 from November of 2021, but we broke it a little early this time. So by December we should be at the all-time high again, or January or November, whenever it is. It's not exact. It's the same thing. But Rick was giving some macro reasons and some some other inputs to the whole formula, and it was and we were having a good. They said it wasn't a debate. Okay, we were having a very information-filled, intelligent conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I wish after we talked afterwards for quite some time, and I wish this part would have been taped also. Rick starts showing me charts and stuff that he made, and talking about a theory of his that once the Fed cuts rates by 0.25, for every percentage points that's cut, or whatever you call it, 0.01 that's cut. So that would be 25. The Bitcoin should go up. It will eventually calm down. That Bitcoin will spike because of the hike, because of the cut. Excuse me. The next rate cut we get. Now, I first anticipated they were going to try to save Biden's campaign by doing a rate cut like in September or something like that. But I don't know if they're going to try that now. because Kamala might be president anyway, and they might not need. But maybe they'll do the rate cut when in January when Trump becomes president. I don't know. We're going to get a rate cut eventually. People say, "Oh, it's impossible, inflation, blah blah blah." They don't care. There'll be a rate cut eventually, and Rick's theory is for every point that's cut, Bitcoin will go up 25%, not from its price at that time, but from this all-time high. So he says, and again, roughly, the Bitcoin will be about $88,000. Probably should be. But he picked the number $88,000. He shows it. It's linked to below, guys. You just follow him. He's got the charts that are out there. And I started thinking about it for a while. And it's just the right things are coming together now. It's going to be the right part of the cycle. We might have a new president. Just a lot of things. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing if his theory. And then he says, the next rate cut, it'll go up 25% from there. So, it won't go up to 88,000 right away. It'll jump up, but it'll settle around 88,000. And then there might be another rate cut. It'll go up to 100 and whatever, 12,000. I don't know what that is. He had it written down. I'm not doing the math in my head right now. I just did the math. Yeah, like 112 or 110. I don't know. But yeah, so we'll see for every. So because usually the rate cut is about 0.25. So you just remember that 25% every time they do a cut. Now if they actually cut it by 0.5 basis, yeah. So for every basis point that's cut, it goes up 1% Bitcoin. He says. So it's always done in 25 intervals anyway. But they could who knows? Everything's been so crazy. There could be some other natural, disaster, and all of a sudden they cut the interest rates by the Fed cuts interest rates by 0.5. Well, Bitcoin will go up 50% from $71,000, from $73,000, $72,000, whatever it was. Let's pick 72 there. So it'll be 72 plus 36. It'll be $108,000 at that point. But that's not necessary. Let's see if his theory is right. I maybe it's just hopium on my part. He's a real smart guy. I just wanted to, I dedicated this part of the show to the Oklahoma guys there, and check them out. Check them. It's linked below. Watch the show is below also. So okay, that was one of the 88. Okay, so we talked about that. Now I'm going to talk about the Mormons and Utah and the Mountain West region, which I've obviously been spending a lot of time in. I've been talking about this to all of you guys for a while in different ways. But I want to, this is, I guess, a little bit of a beyond Bitcoin moment. But this region of the country, it's, there's not much regulations. You can easily start a business. You're better off starting a Bitcoin business in Salt Lake City than you are in Palo Alto right now. I mean, they're bailing. They're bailing over there with Gavin Newsom making all sorts of weird rules and taxes and this, that, and the other. And guess what, dudes? A lot of people are like, well, California is going to be a failed state. No, there's still enough CUCKs over there that'll just bend over and pay, 60% of their tremendous salaries and their capital gains to the government because they're guilty little schmoes. I don't know what their problem is. So there'll always be innovation over there that's funding it. So if you're some welfare queen, you can move to California. It's pretty good. I mean, the benefits are great. And there are a bunch of 2%ers over there that just keep on bending over and giving their money away. It works. I mean, everyone says it can't last forever. No, if you're a total CUCK, you can keep them going. I mean, if you like to see other men pleasing your wife or whatever, if you're that type of person, you'll give all your money to the government of California. And there's plenty of guys like that, apparently. And some of them are incredibly wealthy. But I'm proud of Elon Musk for not being like that and leaving and stuff. But they're not. It's working. The socialist system in California is working. In certain, again, there's bums urinating on the street and this, that, and the other. But if you're super duper wealthy and you can live in a gated community, you're fine. And if you're poor and you're living off the government, well, you're living a good life. The weather is very good out there, very nice. But if you want to start a business, that's a lot of money. And the cost of living is horrible. So for those of you that say that it could never happen on the federal level in the United States, be real careful. Be real careful. Never say never. And that's why we would have certain states, there's a good tie in certain states that won't let that happen, I believe. And sadly, I'm scared that, people are going to say, well, Oklahoma and Texas and Florida will never let that happen. I don't know. They've done some weird things, and, each one to a different level. Texas, they're really trying to change. And, Florida, it's always sort of close. It's gotten better. And so where I'm confident and I'll say the state: South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, and Utah. Those are the 6, maybe Alaska also, but that's a whole another freak show. And if there was ever another virus, they could shut that down pretty easily. I didn't like what they did over there for the virus. And again, there's a lot of independence there, but then there's a lot of I don't want to. There's some people there are a lot of people living off of welfare there, whether they have been in the army before or sadly they can't get off the reservation mentality. That there's people in this country were put on reservations. The native people of this country put on reservations, and they sadly, if you still live on a reservation, if you still got the reservation mentality, you don't have a very good appreciation of private property at all. And it's sad. It's really sad what's happened. There's a lot of time that people say, some of those red states are real poor too. Well, if you want to get into the nitty gritty of it sometimes, who are the people in the red states that are real poor? And, in Oklahoma, in Alaska, in New Mexico, New Mexico is actually a blue state, but in those 3 states specifically, there's a real problem with, and I admire the warrior, there was a warrior ethos of the natives in the old days. But sadly, due to circumstance and alcoholism and a lot of problems, there's a big dependency now. And so, it makes a difference when you tally up certain economic numbers in states. It's never talked about, but that's a problem. And I don't know how I got off on that tangent. Let's not. And I again, people with a reservation mentality learn about private property, and they should turn the reservations. The reservations are like the worst parts of the country to live in. And just privatize the whole things, sell it to the people, give the people the land for free. Just be like, this is your private property now. You have to take care of it. You have to pay taxes on it or something. But that's a whole nother story. What I'm getting to, I want to get to something that's more positive, and that's the positive work ethic of the Mormon people and the long-term thinking of the people and the independence. And that's, even though Salt Lake City is, it's not. There's still plenty of Mormon people here, but it's a blue city in a red state basically, but it's quiet here. People are not. They still live by the Mormon. The Mormons set a value standard, set a cultural standard, and that it's a very strong culture. So people, even if they're leftists here, they're independent. They're long-term thinking. They're not screaming. 4th of July was a prime example. All of you know, on 4th of July, when I lived in Baltimore, I partied like a freaking rock star, okay? We had fireworks going off on my roof. I thank Hashem no one was ever injured on my roof, okay? I mean, just craziness. And there'd be illegal fireworks going off all over Baltimore City. Every year, craziness. People getting shot in their houses. People would be shooting. Not at my house or anything like that. But people would, you would hear gunshots. Craziness going all over all 4th of July. Always just craziness. It was kind of fun, but there was danger. There was real danger. And hey, and by the way, I know a lot of you people have heard of Marilyn Mosby before. She became famous because of the Freddie Gray riots, and of course, I knew her and her husband Nick Mosby before all that. And I'll just say, Nick Mosby was at one of my July 4th parties, and he brought beer. Pound that like button. He was fun back then, man. Nick was a good guy, a fun guy then. He's had some issues since then, hasn't he? But I just want to do a little bit of Baltimore name drop for you people. But I'm glad I'm not there anymore. Here in Salt Lake City, what do we do on 4th of July? Sure, there's some fireworks. Is there drunken madness? No, I didn't see any drunk people. It was really nice. This is my second 4th of July. I was here last 4th of July also. Yeah, the year next, the other year, I was in Boise. I was in Boise. The 20. And so Boise also has a lot of Mormons, a Mormon culture to it too. And so this is the thing. All these people out there are like, oh, they make jokes about the Mormons. Oh, the Mormons got 10 wives and this, that, and the other. They wear funny underwear or something. I don't know what the heck. Let me tell you what reality is here. They're church elders. They have they're preppers. They plan. They have gardens where they have food. They are really long. Bitcoin, and I'm friends with some. I'm part of the Bitcoin meetup group here in Salt Lake City, and I happen to know some Mormons that are there. They should really, the Mormon community should have a big Bitcoin reach out, man. All the Mormons, they should love Bitcoin because it's long-term thinking. So this region, there's a lot of, the state of Utah obviously is heavily influenced by Mormons. And then it dissipates. It goes a little bit into Wyoming and into Idaho, around the Boise area. But this is in terms of a major city, Salt Lake City is the most influenced by Mormon culture major city in the world, I guess. Definitely United States. And then secondary city would be Boise, and which I also love Boise, but I really love it here in Salt Lake City. So Salt Lake City is the center of this region. You could call it the Mountain West Plains, Adameister Free Region, and I named the states. And there are plenty of Mormons in Montana also, and not so much in North Dakota, South Dakota, but in Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and obviously Utah. Who did I skip there? No, I named all six there, right? Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, and Montana. Yeah. All right, so there you go. That's so culturally, these are so. So how's this tie into my own personal life? Being from the East Coast originally, if you're from Connecticut, like soon Utah will have as many people as Connecticut. Okay, so I mean, this is a legitimate question out there. Why would anyone want to live in Connecticut instead of Utah? I mean, I pick Utah any day now, but most people pick Connecticut because the mainstream media. You think Connecticut's so modern, it's so East Coast, and so this, that, and the other. No. Places like Connecticut, Rhode Island, they're going down. Idaho, Utah, they're going up. So some of these things might seem silly to people in the old days. You could pair up all sorts of states that you would never like. Would you rather live in Montana or Vermont? I mean, this is becoming a real thing now. And these are all states that are very close in population. All right, like even though Montana's a huge state, huge in land mass, it's the fourth. In terms of land mass, is the fourth largest state in the United States, but it has the same amount of people as like someplace like Vermont or Rhode Island or whatever. But these are growing places, and I encourage anyone out there, that's going through a hard time, that's tired of all the dirtiness and violence that's going on the East Coast, the West Coast, everything like that. The people are nice in these. I mean, again, I'm more of a My expertise is obviously in Salt Lake City because I've been, I'm friends with people here. I've been studying it for a while. I just love it's just so safe and I can compare it to the worst place in the United States, Baltimore, where I'm from. And it's just so relaxing. It's good for your health. People are healthy here. And one of my rabbis at the Chabad, Rabbi Moshe Nigri, and he's from Brazil originally, and Nigri is black in Portuguese. And you can look him up. He's a real person. Obviously, that's why I give you his name. He's a young rabbi, very young rabbi. Already has 2 children. And he said to me too. He's like, Adam, I don't understand why everybody doesn't move here. And see, he's coming from and this is a great opinion to get. This is a man who's a Brazilian Jew, and he doesn't have all the biases that we have in the United States that favor the West Coast and the East Coast over this region. He just sees it for what it is. And as a minority, he's lived his life as a minority in Brazil. And trust me, it's a lot more difficult to be a Jew in Brazil than it is in the United States. My God, I can only imagine. In Sao Paulo, this doesn't seem fun. But he's just like, yeah. So one of my big things is like, and I've said this before on the show, is like, as a Jewish person, it's great being here. It's awesome. There are not many of us here. But no one's, what you'd expect, if you've got the East Coast, West Coast bias is that, all the Jews, there'd be all this anti-Semitism here. There'd be all this horrible stuff, burning of crosses, blah, 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 blah. Nonsense. And it's the complete opposite. And again, if you're in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, you're going to get jacked a lot more easily for dressing up as a religious Jew as you would here. Like, Rabbi Moshe, he's Chabad, so he wears the black hat and everything. He has no problems. No one's ever bothered him. Now, could someone try to jack him in Williamsburg? Yeah. Someone could try to jack him in Williamsburg is in Brooklyn, which is in New York City, for you guys that don't know about that. Williamsburg has, like, an incredible amount of Jewish people in it. Most of you would be overwhelmed. You couldn't take it. You couldn't take how many Orthodox Jewish people are there. I mean, and some of you Jew haters would actually enjoy talking to some of the Satmar Jews that are in Williamsburg because they're so clueless that they don't even like it. They don't really even know what Israel is. Some of the Satmar Jews that are there, they just do what their rabbis tell them to do. And they believe that, Jews should only go to Israel when the temple drops down from heaven or something. I don't know. Or when their Rebbe tells them that it's okay. So they don't like Israel because their Rebbe said, I mean, it's very unthinking. The Satmars are very unthinking in Brooklyn, but you could get them to say like anti-Semitic, almost things, we're very anti-Israel things. So a lot of you people would enjoy talking to some of these very naive people. The Satmar, the Satmar, and I'm trying to be nice here. The Satmar Jewish people in Brooklyn. And so some of you would get Rabbi the Chabad people confused because they both wear black hats, but it's different. Chabad is they are the greatest Jews. Satmar, some of them don't even speak English. They just speak Yiddish in Brooklyn. Many are on welfare, and it's they all vote for whoever their Rebbe tells them to vote for. They don't care about Republican, Democrat. It's whoever will, give them more welfare. It's very, very sad. So, again, these are just facts. I'm saying right there. That's not why they're getting attacked, by the way, on the streets of Brooklyn. No, that's not why they're not getting attacked because they're welfare queens. They're getting attacked by other welfare queens. It's unbelievable. But my point is this: I'm just giving you a little bit of as a lot of people might say, oh, you favor Jewish people. I mean, I'm telling you the truth, but the Chabad Jewish people, the Chabad Orthodox Hasidic Jews, they're the best, and that's who I hang out with at the shul. They are in charge of the shul here in Salt Lake City, the Orthodox shul. So I encourage the long and short of this for all of you that have paid close attention, and I could tell on Twitter there's someone that's paying real close attention. Maybe he'll catch this too, because I'm not going to even repeat what I said last time. But I'll allude to it again. I really strongly believe that Jewish people should move to Salt Lake City, should join me out here. And because anybody can live out here. You could be Muslim, Jewish, Christian, whatever, and no one's going to give you any hard time. People aren't up in your business here. People are long-term thinkers. They're planning things out. Even the government does a better job at planning things here. Construction is better. Everything is better here. And I do hope very soon to help make it possible or help promote the cause of the Mountain West region to everyone in the United States, but specifically Salt Lake City, University of Utah, to get younger Jewish people to move out here. To get and again, it's not just about getting Jewish people. It's about getting people who aren't trees to finally move and to be reinvigorated. To be innovative with their lives. You don't have to be stuck in the suburbs of Cleveland, in the suburbs of Cincinnati, waiting for J.D. Vance to save you, okay? Or the suburbs of Baltimore, the suburbs of St. Louis, or God forbid in St. Louis, Cleveland, Baltimore, or Cincinnati, or Detroit, the suburbs of Detroit that go on and on. Of blessed memory, my good friend Sarah lived there. And you don't have to get out now. I got out, okay? I Adam 2.0 myself when I bought my first Bitcoin in 2013 and started traveling the world. But you could 2.0 yourself also if hopefully in terms of your location, in terms of not being a tree. And I recommend this region. The best region of the country has been influenced by the do-it-yourself long-term thinking culture. The center of that is the Mormons in Utah. If you're one of those people who want to get friends, also you don't have a lot of friends or whatever. There's a lot of younger people now that don't know how to make real friends in real life anymore. It's very sad. It's very tragic. They might want to get a wife or something like that still, and they don't know how to. They're not because they do all their socializing online, which that's kind of cool or whatever. But you got to touch some grass sometimes. And there are a lot of people that they think like Catholicism is the answer. I'm going to join Candace Owens, and in my opinion, the best Christian sect to belong to. It's just and you don't have to believe in God. Just pretend. Be their friends. Join the Mormons. Say you believe in God, and you don't have to believe in God, and they'll like you, and they'll be your friends. You'll get a wife. You whatever. You'll get friends, and you'll learn. They're very productive. They're the best. I don't know. Brigham Young should be producing And maybe it does already. It should produce the best salesmen in the United States of America. These guys are great salesmen. That's all they get, because they go on missions to these horrible third world countries to spread their religion. And again, most of the time they fail, but they can take no for an answer, obviously. They know they can accept rejection. Great salespeople, very great. They're so productive because they're long-term thinkers. They're healthy. And a lot of you know that I pick all these free berries and free fruit off the streets of Salt Lake City, and I figured out why. One of their elders back in the day, or maybe it's in the Book of Mormon too. I don't know. I'm never going to read no Book of Mormon, okay? But it's about prepping, and they were told to grow gardens. So there used to be more Mormon people here. 80 years ago, they all put gardens in their backyards and trees. Now they're tremendous. Other people own the houses, and so no one even picks the fruit from them anymore because the original people are dead who planted them. And that's the beauty of a tree. I mean, it outlives you. That's some real long-term thinking those people had. If their children actually, inherited the houses or whatever, they would be eating the fruit now. But instead, Adam Meister, the Bitcoin millionaire, is running around freaking Salt Lake City, eating their free food that they planted 80 years ago. Thanks a lot for that long-term thinking. I'm the fruits that have been bared because of your sacrifices. I'm living it up now. Thank you a lot. But that was good long-term thinking. And that is a little history lesson of why no one has ever explained that to me before. I had to figure it out for myself. But they were all encouraged to grow their own fruit, be self-sufficient. And also, if you look into real estate here, it always mentions like stockpiling rooms and just weird things that you don't usually hear about in other real estate markets. And that's because they prep. I mean, Vention, who's deceased, he wasn't a Mormon. He was from the Seattle area. He loved these people. He would have loved these, but they're prepping. I mean, they're not crazy. Like, I'm not saying that Vention was crazy, but some of these prepper people are insane. Stacking silver, blah 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 blah. No, these are realist preppers. Okay, they're not prepping for per se the end of the world, but just when they all moved out here, it was a harsh conditions in the 1800s. They're near a salt lake. It's kind of disgusting. You couldn't drink from the salt lake. They had to build stuff. And I know I've rambled on for a while, but so when people say, when people, the first thing they think about is like 10 wives, correct them and say, no, it's long-term thinking. These people are about long-term thinking, peaceful, productive culture. And I like them a lot. I like the city a lot. I like the overall region a lot. The prospects are tremendous here in all 6 states that I mentioned. And, Sioux Falls was pretty, everybody from freaking Minneapolis and St. Paul already moved to Sioux Falls. So, I mean, how long can that last for? But, the kind of stuff that I like is in Boise and Salt Lake City and probably in some of the cities in Montana now also. I've been to all the cities in Montana, all the big ones, but it's been a while. It's been, I never expected them to grow as fast as they did, but the virus helped that, I guess. What was it? Missoula was very nice. And then, the other one with the other colleges where Montana State is, whatever it's called, it starts with a B. I always forget its name. It's not Billings. It's the other one. That one is, I never thought that one would grow as fast as it has. Okay, enough. So there you go. And if we want to go biblical on this, you want a Bible verse here, people? You want a Bible verse? When I was a kid, my favorite parashat was Lech Lecha. Lech Lecha is the third part of the Jews divide up the Bible, the 5 books of Moses, but then the first book, the Genesis, is divided up into 10 sections, right? And Lech Lecha is the third, so it's the third week. And anyway, I always love that one because Abraham, that's my Hebrew name, he left his father's house, and he explored, and then that actually became unbelievably. Just because of the time of the year I'm born, that ended up being my bar mitzvah portion was Lech Lecha. And anyway, no, it is amazing. I kind of tear up when I think about it because it's weird how my life turned out. Like that was my almost my destiny. Sometimes you gotta leave where you're from. And, God commanded Abraham to, I wasn't commanded to leave where I was from, but I did. I left my father's house, Baltimore, obviously. And yes, sometimes I just tear up a little bit as I think about my father, not because I think about Baltimore, but just yeah. So if you wanted to, all these people are trying to make Bible connections and everything like that. So yeah, that's a Bible connection right there. Abraham left to his land, to a new land, and you could do the same thing. You could do the same thing. So yeah, there's my Bible. But hey, don't do it because the Bible told you to do it or whatever. You got to think about yourself, people, man. If you're suffering, there are no jobs or whatever, come out to a nice place. Come out and again, I thought the temperature was going to get me down. It's hot as heck here during the summer. I'll tell you that. And the snow is fine during the winter. I can't say the same about Montana. And why can't I think of the darn city in Montana? Did one of you put it in here? It's where Zen and the motorcycle book takes place, whatever that book's called. I read it a few years ago. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance was that. It ends up in that city in Montana, doesn't it? I forgot the whole thing. What's the darn city in Montana called? That starts with a B. That's not Billings. Bozeman. Sorry, I remembered it on my own. Good. All right. So what else? What else did you hear? Someone wants me to take off my shirt? No way, man. Oh God. Oh, I took off my Orioles shirt. That's good. Oh yeah, religions are basically just big clubs. Damn W, in a sense, they can be. Yes, you could treat them that way. You want to join and again, so people are like, why aren't you saying to join Judaism? Judaism is not a religion that we don't proselytize. We don't want to. It's like, no, we don't. I find it very. Also, I know since most of you come from a Christian background, and so I think a lot of Christians are suspicious of Jews because they don't try to spread their religion. But for me, it's very strange to see people try to spread their religion. It's very strange. Jewish people are supposed to, when someone wants to convert to Judaism, they're supposed to say, like, why would you want to convert to Judaism? It's kind of hard. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, why would you want to be us? Why? There's rules. I mean, you want to fast and you want everybody to hate you. And I mean, it's just like, why would you want to be, I mean, and we're kind of loud and stuff too. I mean, why? It's a joke, but why we would, but so with the other, so I'm looking at all these clubs that these lonely men can join. So, I mean, I'm looking at, there's all these different Protestant ones and Catholic ones, but I'm like, well, of all the Mormons are the most productive club of all those clubs. So you guys should just join that club, join the Mormon club. And they're very welcoming. And there's some hot women. I've seen them. They dress very nicely for their church. They don't believe in all this. Some of these churches out there, these Protestant churches, have become totally woke. And by the way, the reformed Jewish schools, they're woke as anything. They're freaking communist and stuff. I'm not gonna. But those aren't even. I would not go to those. The reformed Jewish schools. I go to an Orthodox shul. I learned through life. Those are the real schools, the Chabad schools. So you got a little bit of beyond Bitcoin here. I did say, Dan W said, what about Wyoming? I said Wyoming. That's one of the 6 states. Wyoming is probably that's the least population. So that's the least likely they'll be the last one standing. If there is a last one standing, it'll be Wyoming. Definitely. It'll be dead. But it's just like, it's windy there. And so Cheyenne is not like Denver. It's kind of more like Nebraska. It's nice, but it's not like big mountains like Salt Lake City. And, you see big mountains. It's awesome, man. It's awesome. In part of Wyoming that's near Salt Lake City, yeah, that's when you get the big mountains. But Cheyenne was great. But I've never been to the other cities in Wyoming. But of course, in Wyoming, they have that one town where all the leftists already go to ski and stuff. But I like being around a lot of people too. Salt Lake City is a big city. It's a growing city. We got ourselves a hockey team. I'm going to be a fan of that hockey team too. Hopefully, it's going to be called the Yeti. But of course, obviously, my loyalty of all teams will always be to the Baltimore Orioles. Always, always, always. The second half of the season is about to start. And this is if you're an Oriole fan, like I am, Bitcoin Baltimore, you can get it linked to below. Oh, I mean, I always like the Ravens too, but I've got that prohibition against watching the Ravens because it's just like waste too much of your time unless they're in the AFC title game or the Super Bowl. But yeah, I'll learn about hockey a little bit with this Utah Yeti. Hopefully, they're going to be called the Yeti and everything. But I see a lot. I see. There's a way. Bitcoin could get involved. I got all these ideas in my head for combining University of Utah, Judaism, freedom, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, Salt Lake City, all together. I got these ideas, and I've got a lot of Bitcoin. So I can start funding things. Wink, 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 wink. One of these days, you never know. All right, so. Let's see if there are any other topics I wanted to say right here. Yeah, we talked about, so, with the Mormon culture, they don't drink or do drugs. So, that's a great foundation. You don't see as many drug addicts and you don't see as many tattoos here. It's quite pleasant. And again, there's leftists. There's all sorts of, there are people with pink hair, purple hair, and all that stuff. But everyone lets everybody do their own thing. And I have read, the leftist weekly paper that comes out. What's it called? City Weekly. It is kind of funny how they really cry about how Utah is controlled by I think they call it, they're a little paranoid. I think they call them Mormon Republicans or something like that. I mean, it's like, dude, they're letting you do what you want to do. They're not like, these people they're spoiled here. The leftists that live here are spoiled. They have no idea what it is to live in some of these other, these bastions of left that, they would go crazy if they had to live in Baltimore. They go crazy. They would feel oppression if they were in Baltimore. Here, they can pretend to feel oppression, which is just, that's just the leftist way and everything like that. So, yeah, I'm not saying it's a perfect paradise here in Salt Lake City. If you don't want to see a leftist, then, well, you got to live in the middle of nowhere, I guess, or something like that. That shouldn't bother you. You shouldn't be, seeing different types of people. If they're not up in your face, bothering you, trying to change your kids and stuff, or whatever, just let them do their own thing. Let them be, again, decentralized. The Mormons are quite, it's a decent, they're independent culture. They're an independent culture. All right. And going back to Biden, I don't know if anyone would get this joke, but since he should resign, it shouldn't even come to the 25th Amendment. He should be a man about it and resign and let her become president. But it wouldn't surprise me if he plagiarizes Nixon's resignation speech. That'd be kind of funny, wouldn't it? Does anybody get that one? That'd be the funniest way to go out if he just straight up plagiarizes Nixon's speech. It just would sum up Joe Biden's career so nicely. 1987 and now. Anyway, obviously I know he started before then, but 1987, you'll get the plagiarizing thing if you look it up. All right, let's see what else is going on here. All right, we talked about the All In podcast, and I would pick North Dakota over living in Illinois at this point. So some of you are like, you could live. Chicago's a really cool place. And I'm not being a CUCK and losing all my money and getting jacked on the streets of Chicago, okay? And I know that there's some farming community. I'm not living in no farming community and freaking and paying all these taxes in Illinois too. It's a very high tax state and everything. North Dakota, where would I live? Well, I figured it out. There's only like Fargo. I guess I would live in Fargo, wouldn't I? And Bismarck. Did I visit Bismarck? What's the capital? Get them all confused now. It's been a while since I was in North Dakota. But no, and I know it's horribly freezing there. I figured it out. If my only choice was North Dakota or Illinois, I'd pick North Dakota. Yeah, I figured it out. I would not say, no, Illinois is like freaking lost, dude. There's some of these states that are going to be intolerable forever if you are a productive person, if you're a producer, if you're an entrepreneur, if you want to see things advancing. Let's see. I had a term. I'll leave you with this. My life hack thing that I was. Okay, innovative abundance. If you're an innovator and you believe in abundance, okay, and you want to just create and just make just everything be better, and this is not a zero-sum game where you can just everyone can be a winner. How can you take living in a place like Illinois or New York State now? I would say California, but there's some pockets of California where if you're rich enough, I guess you can take it. But I couldn't take it because I'm not giving out 60% of my income. That's just tax, what. But I think one of my talents in life, it's discovering all sorts of life hacks, which I just boil down to A life hack is figuring out ways of innovatively producing abundance for yourself. And for me, it's just like walking the streets of Salt Lake City and coming up with this idea of just like, this is where I'm getting all my fruit from now. And it's just a never ending source. And other people, so it's abundance and it's innovative. Like everyone is walking past these like beautiful what are these things? Apricot trees, these beautiful apricot trees that were like planted 80 years ago. So many people are just like walking on top of them and stuff. And like, what the heck, dude? But again, innovative abundance is not just about, finding free fruit and just living off of it. It's basically the only fruit I eat is now coming in these little plum. I mean, it's awesome. And it starts with the berries on June the 1st. And it lasts until like November the 1st or past that with the jujube tree. I love that thing, man. Thank God someone planted that tree 80 years ago. Oh my God, I love that thing. But live your life. That's my freaking philosophy. Innovative abundance, dude. Keep on creating new things that just produce abundance for yourself and others. If you produce abundance for yourself, others are going to be able to live off that abundance too, man. And we're just in a time with AI and cryptocurrency and everything, and hopefully biotech, where there's just so much abundance. People throw stuff away. You can live. Again, I furnished this whole apartment of mine with this stuff that people have thrown away. Just awesome chairs and tables, and just basically everything. All my plates, all my silverware. It's just people, they just leave it on the side of the street, whatever. So I mean that's the kind of abundant. That's like basic abundance there. But when you're in AI and cryptocurrency, who knows what you can do? Who knows what you can produce? And that's why I have no problem with people just producing their own money and stuff, because that's abundance right there. That's just more and more and more and more. And if people find value in it, and remember, value is subjective. Just because it doesn't make sense that to you that is valuable, it might be valuable to somebody else. And another thing that I learned the other day, and I think it was from Dr. Vance Ginn's latest podcast. He's been on my show before many times on the This Week in Bitcoin show. I'll leave you with this note. There's no such thing as a good job. Like the government, JD Vance he is a genius, by the way, but he's wrong. He wants to bring quote unquote good jobs to people. Well, what's a good job? It's subjective. Working at McDonald's for some people is a good job. They like the time. That they like, maybe they just want to work a few hours and they don't want to be full time. And they live in the middle of nowhere and they like eating fries. They like eating the fries, snacking on some fries and stuff. I don't know. That's good for them. A good job is in the eye of the beholder. So never believe the politicians that are like, because that's just the road to central planning. The government should not be involved with deciding what a good job is, deciding what jobs are, deciding what money you use. There should be a complete separation. And this is where Yaron Brook is so good. And also where Safedine is so good. Yet they don't agree on other things. Is separation of economy and state. We don't have that at all. We're in both parties, we're going in the other direction, where Democrats and Republicans want to control the economy more. The government has no business controlling the economy, saying what's a good job, saying what real money is, and having a monopoly on money is not. No, that's not cool. There should be private money also. So Elizabeth and defining what just willy nilly with Lena Khan, whatever her name is, deciding what a monopoly is. When the government, these monopoly rules are, and this is what Ayn Rand said, the antitrust rules are the worst laws in all of the United States of America. Because it's just like if you're in the government, you can just randomly say, well, that's a monopoly. And then just bankrupt that, force someone to give up their private property just because they supposedly had a monopoly when it's not a monopoly. It's an incredible violation of property rights. But that's the road you go down when you let the government be mixed with the economy. And a true monopoly is one that is only enforced by the government. Okay, if the government said that the only people that can sell oranges are Tropicana, that's it. If that is a true monopoly, that's when the government grants you something and they shut everybody else down. That's a monopoly. Not when somebody has Google is a monopoly. There are other companies that do what Google does. There's other companies that do what Yahoo does. There's other companies that do what Microsoft and Elon Musk and all that stuff. There's no social media monopolies. People are just, they don't like them not getting their way at a certain time. So they want the government to come in and solve their economic problem. Every one of them, they're like, it's the public square. It's the public square. Dudes, you should love Facebook, Twitter, and all those social media companies. All the people who complain, you would never have known who they were before there was social media. No. Back, in Ayn Rand's day, for example, the only time you got to know who she was is if you happened to go to one of her speeches. You physically had to go there, okay? That's crazy. Now, that's just so ancient. That makes no sense. And there's just all these spoiled brats now that just because they only have 20,000 followers, people listen to these insane people. They get huge followings. They would have only had 2 or 3 people know who they were before social media, yet they're screaming for social media to be shut down. Think about that. Put it into perspective, the abundance that we have today because of these companies and stuff, because of the innovation. And let's just get out of the way of all the innovators, okay? So try to put yourself in a state that lets the innovators innovate, okay? And put yourself in a country that does too. And overall, the United States is much better than most countries. And that's why we don't have to worry about a lot of things, okay? We have the best, as long as we still let people innovate, we got the best technology on earth in this country. We have the best innovators. I don't know what's wrong with some of these cultures. They don't believe in marketing. They don't believe in being successful. As long as we still have like 10% of the people, and it's probably down to that now in this country, that believe in innovation and actually being proud of being successful, we're cool. I mean, we've gotten down to like really low numbers, but whatever, 10% of 330 million is 33 million. So that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people to be proud. And they're all kind of moving toward, a lot of them are moving to Texas now, but so you want to be around people like that physically too. It's just so much better on your mind. Okay, that's it. Does anybody have any questions or any super chats or anything like that? Let me just check real quick. Okay, cool. That's it. Some cultural sabotage themselves. Oh yeah, a lot of cultures sabotage themselves, man. They're self-hating. It's terrible, man. It's really bad. And by the way, there are people out there that love to create chaos and just don't. We've talked about George Soros before. There's all these conspiracies about him, but he straight up admits that he thinks through what he means by open society is democracy gone wild, mob rule. So he believes in democracy to the extreme, where everyone gets a say over everyone, where someone in Zimbabwe can vote and decide what happens in the United States. And he truly believes, because I don't know what he is, he's so cocky that he thinks if he creates enough chaos, that eventually everyone will freely choose his way. So he believes, and he's got a point here. I've talked about this on other shows. People are they can be manipulated. He is cocky enough to believe that he can manipulate the whole world and that he really thrives in a state of chaos. He has. He believes he can create, and he's really old too. So, and he's still doing it. So he's not, but there are others that he has in line after him that there's some smart people out there that can thrive in chaos. And people then just make up all these conspiracies. I mean, you got to be ready for chaos all the time, people. But at the same time, try to live in areas where chaos hasn't taken over to a point where there's lawlessness. I mean, there's different forms of chaos out there. And there's economic chaos. There's a law, in terms of on the ground, no enforcement of the law type of chaos. That's pretty scary. And I find George Soros to be a fascinating character. I don't think obviously he's not a good person. He's a cocky person, but if you study him a lot, you can learn from him. Oh, by the way, I'll talk about this in another show. He's not a Marxist, by the way, but something that he's against that type of thing. He's against that type of thing. He's for his own thing, where people vote his way of open society as the way things are all over the world, where people choose him. He's not about confiscating private property. He's not about that. He's not about forcing people. He's about creating enough chaos that people choose what he wants. It's unbelievable. But Marxism is about, forcing, taking away people's private property, having a violent revolution. And Marxism is about praxis. It's not just a philosophy. There are a lot of people that love to talk about their philosophy, libertarians, but they don't practice it at all. And one thing that's very important about Bitcoin that I want to leave you with this note, to truly understand Bitcoin, there has to be praxis. You have to actually own Bitcoin. You actually have to move a Bitcoin. And the deeper you get into it, like, okay, sure, you own a Bitcoin in Coinbase, that's kind of praxis. It's not really. It's like, I mean, if you know how to send it to one of those long addresses, which for most of you are saying, oh, that's so easy. But if you've actually done it, and then you actually hold it, you've engaged in praxis with Bitcoin. And so many of the writers out there and so many of the commentators out there on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency haven't used it yet. There's been no praxis. So when it comes to Bitcoin, they're fools. They're fools because to really get Bitcoin, there must be praxis. Okay, and I hope that's not controversial. I hope it's but I think you just take it with a grain of salt when you see the haters out there saying all this stuff about Bitcoin. I mean, you got to ask them, like, well, have you ever received a Bitcoin or sent the Bitcoin or held a Bitcoin? And if they say no, and then at the same time, are you Bitcoin inquisitionist? Think about what I just said. I'm sure you all agree with me. And then think about what you say about Ethereum. And all altcoin, and not all, but Ethereum and DeFi and all that stuff, and NFTs. And have you ever used them? Have you ever, have you ever? So just there you go. I'll leave you with that. Okay, pound that like button, everybody. I'm Adam Meister, Bitcoin Disrupt Meister. Send some money after the show too. I'm totally running out of fiat. I'm going to have to start selling Bitcoin by the end of the summer if things don't change soon. But again, that was expected. It's after the 2024 halving. But hey, if you give me 10 more bucks here, we'll do another show real soon. See you later, guys. Thank you. And retweet this, please.